You guys may have heard the news. USMLE Step 1 is going to become PassFail. Now, this news was just announced today by the FSMB, the NBME, and the USMLE. Now, it's a lot of acronyms, but there was a lot of licensing organizations basically involved in this decision and the change. But the bottom line is the impact on medical students is going to be huge. I'm going to dig into some of the initial thoughts that I have in this video, and then we'll get into a whole lot more after that. Now, before we dive into the pass-fail change, let's look at the other components of this policy change. There's two other major components in there. The first is that the number of attempts on any USMLE exam is going to be limited to 4. Previously, that number was 6. Now, to me, this doesn't really affect most US medical students. Keep in mind that the pass rate for USMLE Step 1 is well over 90% for US medical students anyway. So almost everybody who's taking the test as a US medical student is passing it on the first try. The second change is that you have to take Step 1 and pass Step 1 before you take Step 2 CS or clinical skills. Now, this makes sense. You have to have some basic science knowledge before going into clinical skills assessment anyway. Most US med schools are set up this way. You're not going to take Step 2 until 3rd or 4th year, way after you take Step 1. So again, this doesn't really affect the majority of US medical students at all. But the third change definitely does. Now, that's changing USMLE Step 1 from a 3-digit score to a pass-fail. And it's going to have huge implications. I mean, Step 1 has always been the thing that strikes fear into medical students. I mean, students looking for this exam are always looking to score as high as possible. I mean, it's a test that residency program directors use to sort through candidates and make decisions on who to grant an interview to and who not to grant an interview to. For years, students have used all the material they can, from Golion to Pathoma, USMLE World, USMLE RX, Picmonic, you name it. This material just keeps on coming. First aid, of course, it goes on and on and on. And med students have essentially put themselves in a hole for weeks at a time to study for this test in order to get the best score that they can. Now, with scores out the window and it basically being a pass-fail, all that stress suddenly melts away, for Step 1 at least. I mean, the goal of the USMLE in changing the score to pass-fail was to spark systemic change and improve the overall transition from residency to medical school, from medical school to residency, according to Michael Barone, who's at the NBME, and Dave Johnson, who's at the Federation of State Medical Boards. This transition was important to them. I mean, they wanted to make it as seamless and as stress-free as possible with these policy changes. But what happens when a candidate applies for a residency now? To me, Step 2 CK actually becomes more important, or the most important thing now, and it's actually going to replace all the stress from Step 1. Programs have to have some way of sorting through candidates, right? It's like the SAT or the MCAT. They just have too many candidates for too few spots. They have to be able to sort some way in order to get everybody on an even playing field. So for the most competitive specialties, right, plastic surgery, dermatology, orthopedics, interventional radiology, Step 2 CK becomes an even bigger deal than ever. And for students, it's enormous pressure now that they only have one shot at taking this test, right? Previously, if you didn't do great on Step 1, you could potentially make up for it on Step 2. Now with Step 2 CK becoming the be-all and end-all, it's going to put a lot of stress on students. So I'm not sure that this is really going to improve stress levels for medical students. I mean, maybe it does, but maybe it even heightens it even more. One potentially good thing is that Step 2 CK is more clinically oriented. So in studies, that has translated to better performing physicians. Now, what is a better performing physician? Well, that's a tough thing to say, but at least the studies have sort of shown that, hey, Step 2 correlates better than Step 1, and that makes sense. If you do better in Step 2, that's real clinical knowledge, whereas Step 1 is all kinds of other, biochemistry and knowledge that you really don't use clinically. Now, there's other factors that are going to be important in residency, right? Letters of recommendation, research, your dean's letter, your clinical grades. all those things are going to play an important role. I think research in particular plays an even bigger role because it's another quantifiable measure, right? We can see how many research projects have you done? How interested are you in a particular specialty? The dean's letter from the school is also going to play a bigger role because it often ranks medical students amongst their classmates using language such as this candidate is an excellent candidate for residency or this candidate's a very good candidate for residency. It has meaning, and sometimes they even rank by quartile or more than that. So what's the upshot here, right? In January 2020, when this change, that's the earliest this change is going to take place, medical students will have to take Step 2 CK before the match and really get a great score on that. Step 1 will be pass-fail. They're all taking it years ago. Now, at Med School Coach, we've been tutoring students on Step 2 CK. In fact, that's been our specialty for years, and we've gotten phenomenal results. So if you need that extra help and want to boost your score a little bit, check us out. We're here for you. In the meantime, maybe you can rest a little bit easier knowing that Step 1 is pass-fail. But again, I think a lot of that stress is going to translate to Step 2, so you got to do well on that. Now, more to come on this topic. Hit subscribe down below, and we'll update you when new videos come out when we have more thoughts on this. Breaking news, Step 1, pass-fail.